What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Batman Arkham City. It's the 12-year anniversary, 12-year birthday of the game, and I didn't actually plan anything. Once it reaches maybe a nicer, 12 is a nice number, but maybe 15 years, maybe I'll do a video on Podcast Now Back to the Past, my third channel, my retrospective channel. But for today's video, I wanted to do something to celebrate. This game, I think, means so much to a lot of people. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the industry. That's kind of why I thought, all right, well, let's just talk about the game a little bit. I don't have to necessarily replay it or anything. I haven't played this game actually in a very, very long time, which is sad, but I do want to go back to it. But okay, so what does this game mean to people? Well, I think honestly to a lot, this is the game. This is the best superhero game. This is the best Batman game. And I've talked about it before. I think it's okay to say, genres, like leaving games in genres. But look, at some point, you want to break out, right? You don't want to just be the best horror game. What about one of the best games in general? You don't want to just be the best superhero game. What about one of the best games, ever made? And I think that's what this game did. You think to Arkham Asylum, and I've said it many times, but in case people didn't know, Arkham Asylum is always going to be my favorite. Unless, they could make more without Kevin Conroy. I think that'd be very difficult. I think where it stands now and looking back, and even still how I feel replaying them today, or at least the last time I replayed these games, Arkham Asylum is my personal favorite, and it's the thing that got me into it. There's a whole long story with how I jumped into Arkham Asylum. City will never have that impact on me, but it had it on so many other people. But I will say City had a different impact. City proved, okay, you can take a gigantic jump from one to the next. We've had games that take huge jumps from the first game to the sequel. Uncharted is probably normally my go-to, maybe even like Sly Cooper back in the day. But, you think about what Uncharted did from 1 to 2, or even Gears of War, or Halo even, right? Like, you can make some gigantic leaps. And I think that's what happened here. While Asylum will always be my favorite, I don't think it's the best one. I want to make sure I clarify that. I do think City is overall the best Batman game, from its looks to its feel to nailing a semi-open world. Like, obviously, when you think of the open worldness of an Arkham game, you probably think to Knight, right? For better or for worse with the Bat Tank, but also just the movement and how good that game still looks even to this day. But City's really kind of what started that. You think to the story, and I think this game has the best story of all of the Arkham games, just period. It also has one of the better stories, I think, honestly, of all time, and that goes more to a personal story with me. So when it came to City, it took me a while. Asylum I got when it came out. I got maybe like a week later, and I played it. I loved it. I remember like listening to music on my CD player when playing some of the like the challenge maps and stuff, and getting the highest scores I possibly could, and the Joker ones. Like, I have such vivid memories, but I have vivid memories, and I did it like day one, week one, right? Like really close to when the game released. For City, I remember buying, and that was an era of my life that I've talked about before on these channels where I was just not good. I don't even know how I did it with Asylum, because Asylum I beat, I think, in about a week. I remember doing homework, or like beating it, or doing homework first, then going and fighting Joker, at the end and beating the game. But for whatever reason, once you reach like the 2010s, maybe it's just because there were so many games that I was starting to get into when I really wasn't into that many games from 2009 and prior to that, right? That I just had so much trouble beating them. So where am I going with this? Well, City, it has the impact on me that I think I recognized how good it was in the moment. I think I recognized how good it was when I beat the game, but the distance from when I started that game to when I beat it was massive. I actually bought this game day one. I remember I still own the, copy of it physically and all that. And I remember playing it, and I jumped out. I jumped out after probably a couple hours, and it took me forever to beat this game. And now I don't know for sure if I beat it within the year. Here's what I do 1000% know. So I'm a martial artist. I've done martial arts pretty much my entire life. And I remember I was testing for some black belt, whether it was like first degree, second, whatever it was. I was testing for a black belt, and it was over the summer. So I know that because I beat the game like a day before I tested. And that'll always, I like those kind of those are special memories to me. Obviously, everybody's kind of have their own special memories with the game or what they were doing. For me, it was, I played it, I jumped out forever, And then if it was the same year, right? So the game obviously came out in October, and then maybe like 6, 7, 8 months later, I went back and I beat it. It could have actually even been the year after. Could have been a following year. Could have been almost 2 years after the game came out. But here's where I'm going with this. My jaw hit the floor. And I mean, obviously not literally, but that ending and really just where the story went in general, Joker got me. Like, you look at all like the Easter egg things now where you can look and like there's no skeleton, right? Like those kind of like behind the scenes things or things that if you're being really detective-y as the game is going on, you can probably figure it out. Look, I mean, I've said it before, I'm not really a comic guy. I don't know much about this stuff, and especially back when this game came out, you could have told me anything happened in the comics, even if it didn't actually happen, I would have believed you. So that caught me by surprise, that Joker wasn't actually Joker. And then them killing him, like that was, I mean, for the second game in a franchise, and you think of how powerful, not like physically maybe imposing, but how powerful Joker is as a character, and for you to eliminate him, and it really didn't seem like they were gonna, like it seemed like he was gonna kind of bounce back, and well, not in that moment, right? But I never got the sense that even though he was dying throughout the whole game, I thought he would survive. Like Batman would be able to get him the serum or whatever, and he'd be fine. And the ending of that game, I think, is just so powerful. But that's honestly not to take away, like that's something I think about all the time, and like that memory, because again, like it was like a day or two before I tested for a black belt, and like I'll always remember that. But that's not to take away from the rest of the game. I mean, this game did everything Asylum did that I love personally, and then amplify it, right? Like the combat is so good. Again, the movement gets a little bit of an upgrade because it's a bit more open. The side stuff you can do with like Zsasz calling you and Catwoman. I mean, there's just so much. Obviously, like Hugo Strange and the Mr. Freeze boss fight. Like, there's just so many revolutionary, like the Mr. Freeze boss fight is like how you do it, right? Like that's the blueprint of how you do it. The story just from beginning to even the beginning of the game, I think, is so clever and so fun and so different from what we had experienced really throughout all of Asylum, right? Really putting us in a different situation right away, immediately, right? In City. So I think they did such a great job. It actually is sad, right? Because it's like most people, the team that created Arkham City, like they're probably not there, and a lot of those, even the founders or the heads of Rocksteady, right, they're leaving or they're gone or whatever. So it's sad that like one of the best, it could be the best superhero game. To me, it is. In fact, I think I actually said that when talking about Marvel Spider-Man 2. I look to City. I really do. I look to City as the best superhero game ever created. But not just that, I mean, and that's the point, right? You can say that, and I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't even think that's being disrespectful to the game. I really don't think it is. It's also just one of the better games of all time. Like, you look at the awards that it's won. You look at what, like, all the games that have even copied it. You know what I mean? Like, the free flow combat obviously has been very copyable, if that's a word, right, as time has gone on. But just, like, this is probably the game that did it. Because Asylum showed that you can do it, but then City said, well, you can do it twice, and you can do it at a whole new level. And you can take yourself even more seriously and tell an even better story, whatever. I think a lot of games took that and tried to run with it. So this will always be, a special game. I don't have as many memories with it as I did with, I actually would say, Asylum and Night, because I remember Night very, very vividly when I got it, how, my path to beating it, what I thought at every stage. Those memories are for some reason lacking, with Arkham City and Origins, by the way. Those two are just different. They just feel different, but it's hard to argue or deny that Arkham City is probably the best Arkham, again, probably the best superhero game and one of the better games that's come out, especially even in that era. Like, I was getting into it. I think maybe that's why Asylum will always be special to me, because that came out, and I had just gotten a PlayStation at the time. Like, I got it like 3 months before Arkham Asylum came out is when I entered that new age, and I was playing like Prototype. I was seeing things for Uncharted, but I don't even think I played Uncharted yet. Infamous had just come out, like, and then Asylum came out. And it's like, oh, this is like, is this what it's like? Is this what next gen? Because I was jumping from God knows what to a PS3, and I think I had settled in a little bit more for City, so it didn't catch me as much off guard. And I think it took me a little bit more time to realize the other, because I think it's like more mature. I don't know if maybe that's the right way of saying it, but the elements that make, City such a great game. I don't know if you can tell immediately or when you're a kid, growing up playing the game. It's just a cool superhero game. You know what I mean? It's just fun. There's some twists and turns that are really awesome. The combat, getting around, like, it looks beautiful. But then once you, take a couple steps back, get older, age a little bit, look back at the game, and you can say, oh my God, like this moved the needle, and it really did. So let me know what you guys think of the game in the comments. Again, this was basically a retrospective on its own, but in a few years from now, we will definitely be doing a much more deep dive into this game on my third channel, Back to the Past. In the meantime, of course, you could always check out that channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.